All right, y'all. Today we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business. Going to check out its local and city search. They're actually combined this time. See if it has BSS. All right, so we're back in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. And as always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pin video up on the top, homepage, wherever. Now, this is because FSIC explains that all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got in white down there, our intent, basically our intent spectrum, highest intent on the left, lowest intent over on the right. And so if a boudoir photography business is rising, it's most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, the whole length. And if it's if a boudoir photography business is falling, then most likely it's missing, not bringing in, some cohort of people. Now, the highest intent people over on the left are doing things like Google search, social media search, like a boudoir photo shoot in their city, like right now. And those people are fastest to money, highest to convert. We talk about that with BSS here in our videos. And then our sister brand, way at the end over there, name is Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. That's where we are talking about BLCS. But right now, we're only currently working with the boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So on to BSS. BSS is Boudoir Search Sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google for the highest intent buyer keywords in their city. And so 0 slots is awful. I mean, we're basically dead at that point. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page 2. So 80% of Google searches literally, one and done Google searches, or page 1 and done Google searches. So from page 2, only approximately 20% of searches of people searching will ever even find us. And page 1 slot, that's not good either. Or 1 slot on page 1. I mean, it's better, but we're still basically invisible because guess what? There's 10 organic slots on page 1. If we got one of them, then there's basically 9 other boudoir photographers with 1 slot. Best scenario. Worst scenario is if another boudoir photographer is like 2 or 3, and then we're kind of really never getting looked at. But let's say everyone has 1. And guess what a buyer's doing? They're going down, clicking, open everyone's link on page 1, because approximately 80% of buyers ain't even hitting page 2. And guess what? They're contacting everyone on page 1, getting a quote from everyone, comparing, price gets shoved down through the roof or down through the floor. And kind of steals margin from everyone. So 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google, no. As BSS, we cannot deal with any of that. And that's because 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google is actually not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. So it's super common, it's accepted, but symptom of 2 deeper root causes, and those are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, yeah, basically everyone knows this. It's like, seems like every week somebody gets a new iPhone, and then they're throwing up their Google My Business profile and their websites and the National Boudoir. That's kind of taking competition, page 1 organic slots away from us. And or someone gets a camera, and they're posting to the mom groups in the National Boudoir. Also, big wave of this happened during COVID. People lost their jobs, it's out there in money. So as a result, everyone's got a smartphone and an awesome camera. So pretty easy people to say that they now for boudoir. But what that does increase the supply of boudoir photographers, but the number of buyers remains the same. So it makes it harder for every seller, every boudoir photographer to be getting those clients. All right, so everyone knows that. Basically, everyone knows that. Basically, nobody knows about this second thing, which is the false belief of page 1 equality. So that is kind of boudoir photographers kind of automatically assuming without even questioning that every boudoir photographer is entitled, to like either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, maybe they had, there's slot 8 on page 1 of Google with their website. So new boudoir photographers came in, ranked higher, and got pushed out to page 2. And it's like, oh, well, every boudoir photographer gets 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. It is what it is. And basically, they're believing there's nothing that can be done about it. So this is 100% incorrect. And I know this for a fact because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on Google, on page 1 of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new strategy we're going to show you all today, or, that I'll describe today. And it's kind of like we got to break through the mental barrier of accepting this as a false belief. And then once we do that, we can see, okay, there is a solution out there that we'll get to in like 2 pictures here. Okay, we can use this to actually literally get as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort for. Next, boudoir photographer BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So disappearing boudoir photographer. Basically, if we got 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google, we're disappearing because we're either on page 2 or deeper. And approximately 8% of searchers are never going to find us. And that's the bulk of the market that we care about. And if we got 1 slot on page 1 on Google, we're being price shopped against the other 9, destroying our margins. We're basically invisible anyways. And we care about this because a disappearing boudoir photographer is the warning light. It's kind of the the red flag going up, where the disappearing boudoir photographer precedes the boudoir photography business itself disappearing. that's why we care about that. And we got our micro universe here. We got disappearing with boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one the false belief of page one equality, where we accept it's a false belief. So we're like, okay, now what's the solution? Boom, we finally got a solution. But through our testing, we've learned that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And we know this works because we invented it. It's what I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, in only 10 days. And I mean, it works exactly as it's described. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, pick up as many slots on social as possible on social search, and that kind of acts as like the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America, where the streams, the small rivers from the backside of the Andes Mountains actually all flow together to the Amazon River, and into the big Amazon River. That big Amazon River is like page one of Google, and so, but it all starts with social search saturation. That's where it all stems from. And the cool thing about this is the only solution I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight against market saturation, so maintain the business and not decline, but also still grow in the face of market saturation, and for it to happen relatively quickly. And those at least visible results of getting on page one of Google that happen relatively quickly. The only other solution that I have seen is having a strong brand, but that takes 5 to 10 years, which doesn't satisfy the relatively quickly criteria that we need. Because we're in the AI. AI take a few jobs. We gotta get as much. We gotta get as much slots on page one as Google as possible before AI starts taking people's jobs. And I mean, it's pretty easy to see SQ methodology can do this. So imagine we're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and there's 1 million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got their websites and they shoot boudoir. So page one competition is insanely crazy. And let's say we take, we see that and we say, okay, we got to take S-cubed methodology to the max. So what we actually do is we actually do S-cubed methodology so hard that we're like the first 300 slots on social search for the highest intent keywords, highest intent buyer keywords for boudoir in our city across all the social networks. And then let's say that flows onto Google, and we're taking like the first 300 slots on Google for the highest intent keywords for boudoir buyers in our city. And it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. So we're really taking out the first 30 pages on Google. So anytime any buyer looks up, types in a high intent buyer keyword into Google, or even any of the social networks, they're only seeing us. They basically got to go to like page 31 on Google to essentially find any of our competitors. And so once that happens, then basically once that happens, and buyers can essentially only find us. They only see us. Who are they going to go with? Obviously us, whose business will be growing, even though there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers. Obviously us, and whose business will be dying and disappearing because they essentially cannot be found at all for anyone searching. All our competitors. So again, this is why I said the SQ methodology is the only thing I've seen that helps boudoir photographers maintain and still grow their business in the face of market saturation. That happens, or I can get on page one of Google relatively quickly, way faster than Brandon. In my estimation, I could probably build that brand about 8x faster normally because we show up so much more on so many other surfaces. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we now have page one visibility. So we got multiple slots on page one of Google as an initial benefit. Second initial benefit is every new slot we get on page one of Google, we're actually kicking one of our competitors at that slot, push them off to page one or deeper, making so approximately 80% of Google searches can never find them. So we turn them into disappearing boudoir photographers, where if they stay there, they're eventually going to be kicked out of the market. So this is an awesome, second initial benefit of using SQ's methodology. So we're making other peeps invisible. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So BSV, we actually, this is where our GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one of Google comes in. So the GBC universe recommends 3 out of 10 slots page one on Google because basically every other boudoir photographer page one on Google will have 1 out of 10 slots or 1 slot. So if we see 3, or if a buyer sees 3, they're kind of subconsciously going to think, why is Google recommending this person so much? I guess I'll click into them and may not even click on any of our competitors. And second reason GBC universe recommends 3 out of 10 as the minimum, because there's a tiny, tiny, tiny chance another boudoir photographer can have 2, which means we also got to be able to dominate them in that case as well, with us having 3. So, and the recommendation of 3 is basically if we got 3 out of 10 page one on Google, we're basically guaranteeing we're not declining. So we're guaranteeing we're either, treading water, so maintaining the business, or growing the business. Most likely growing the business, but we're at least not declining. That's like the big goal here. And finally, Boudoir photographer with Boudoir search visibility is a visible Boudoir photographer. So we got our full micro universe here. A disappearing Boudoir photographer with Boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns, market saturation, and page one, and the false belief, page one equality. Now we have the solution S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility, become a visible Boudoir photographer with Boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results doing this. So I wanted to rank for the term BLCS Boudoir. So I know, okay, the exact thing I do for that is S-cubed methodology. I want to have as many slots page one Google as possible. So let's go down the organic slots. And we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 9, no, I'm not slot 9. Slot 10, me. So, dude, I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots on page one of Google in only 10 days, purely using S-cubed methodology. So these are the results I've gotten for myself with it. All right, now here to the main event. You can check out this Boudoir photography business. Looks like we're heading up to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Gonna see if this business has BSS with this search. All right, so let's see what we got here. Boom, we got one. Boom, we got two. All right, so we got 2 out of 10. So what does that mean? That's good. We do not have BSS, but we are not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page one of Google search for this local slash, combined local slash city search. All right, so see where we're at here, Fond du Lac. All right, so we got one. Boom. We got two. Boom. All right, so we got 2 out of 10, page one Google slots for our combined local slash city search. So that's good. It means we do not have BSS with Boudoir search sameness. We don't have 0 or 1 slots, page one Google search, but we have not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page one of Google search. So if you're a disappearing Boudoir photographer, meaning you've actually done your local searches, your city searches for the highest intent Boudoir bar keywords in your city, and you have seen you got BSS for at least one of those searches, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page one Google search for at least one of those searches. And you've accepted that the false belief of page one equality is exactly that, a false belief. So like, man, yeah, we actually can take as many page one slots on Google as we want. And so you kind of broke through the mental barrier and you're seeing, wow, S-cubed methodology, that's the solution I need. That's what I've been waiting for. It's a solution for me. And you're liking the initial benefits, yeah, more slots for you, page one Google search. And then obviously you also like kicking your competing with photographers off page one, effectively rendering them invisible to approximately 80% of the market, or approximately 80% of buyers. That's a good strategic move. And you understand market saturation, yeah, more peeps become with photographers over time, and it's because people upgrade their gear. But you're also remembering back in COVID, what happened? A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people still need to earn money. Everyone's got a superpowered smartphone with an ultra camera. So a ton of new boudoir photographers enter the market. Increased supply, more sellers for the same number of buyers, harder for every single seller. And now you're seeing AI taking more people's jobs. And you're actually seeing that more peeps will, AI is only simply going to get better and better over time. Going to take more and more people's jobs over time. So like, people upgrading their gear, come boudoir photographers, and people, on top of that, way more people actually losing their jobs due to AI. Going to be coming in being boudoir photographers on top of all that, the people upgrading their gear. So you're realizing it's not just simply about getting page one links and kicking competitors off page one. You actually need to fortify your position. Like literally have page one backup links where you got so many links that you've already taken up basically all the slots you can on page one, that all the other links that could be ranking on page one, Google actually puts them, page 2, page 3, page 4, kind of like backlog of links that are page one worthy. So then you can essentially prevent all current boudoir photographer competitors from ever ranking on page one, and also essentially prevent all the future boudoir photographers from ever future boudoir photographers actually come through AI taking their job from ever ranking on page one. So you understand you got to fortify your position, like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city's actually below sea level, so they got to fortify the levees against the ocean. And you're saying, okay, how do we get all these links? And you're saying, okay, SQ methodology, got it. That's fortification. That's the benefit SQ methodology gives as well. And you want to achieve page one visibility in order to become a visible boudoir photographer, to achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need these things on your path to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you are also understanding kind of the future benefits of SQ methodology, where all these social search saturation we're doing for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. You're understanding that we're basically building like these invisible thematic keyword columns, plugging them into your brand, your business name, your website name, your personal name, your social media handles. And every day we build these up by successfully executing SQ methodology. We're actually increasing the probability in 2 places, that we show up in 2 places. The first one here, AI overview. Most premium placement in Google search. #1 organic slot here. Cannot buy this with ads. And we're also increasing the probability of being shown in AI search apps. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Increasing the probability of showing up there every day. That's important because AI search is growing every day while Google standard search is declining every single day. And you know that AI search is important. So these 2 benefits, AI overview, AI search, SQ methodology gives these, because it's exactly what we're doing, building the invisible thematic keywords columns. It's kind of like back-end AI keyword mindshare. That's kind of momentum. That's exactly what it is. So every day we do it. Successful SQ methodology, we're increasing the probability of showing up here. And I remember the last time I searched for boudoir photographers in a city with an AI app, was with ChatGPT. It gave me 3, but I went to then look manually, Google standard search, Facebook search, and dude, there's like 60. It's like, man, we gotta get in on these AI slots any way possible. And that's SQ methodology is the greatest, best way that I've ever seen that enables the highest probability for a boudoir photographer to achieve that. And you also like feature benefits, yeah, can help build a brand approximately. It takes faster than standard methods. And you also understand that my current plan is to only work with 1 boudoir photographer per city. And so you like getting all these benefits, and also you like being able to prevent your competitors from getting these benefits, so you can actually build up massive link war chest, link ranking, and link kind of back-end AI keyword mindshare momentum. Massive gap between you and your competitors to basically make it so that that gap can be made so big that basically no current competitor could essentially catch you, and no future competitor that actually comes from AI taking their job to basically ever catch you. And that's why you decided to be first mover, because you want all these benefits and to prevent your competitors from getting all these benefits. You let that gap, because you understand the converse. The converse is actually that one of your competitors in your city signs on with me first. We're putting their links page 1 Google search. You're getting pushed off. You're on page 2 or 3 or somewhere deeper invisible to approximately 80% of the market or more. We're fortifying their page 1 links in Google search, so that essentially you'll never be able to rank on page 1 again as long as we keep executing. We're building up the back-end AI keyword mindshare momentum, and make it a super large gap between your competitor and you. And you're realizing to compete, you'd actually have to rederive SQ methodology, derive it for the first time, and you would never actually know if you've derived it correctly. 100%, you'd never be 100% confident you've derived it correctly. And then you'd have to go execute it every single day, same as us. But if you did both those things, the gap me and your competitor have already have ahead of you, it would be the same distance. You'd be maintaining the size of that gap. So to make any headway, close that gap, you'd actually have to outwork us like 2 to 3x every single day. And if you did that, well, then first of all, you wouldn't be 100% confident you've derived the strategy correctly. So it'd be hard to even put in 2 to 3x the time every single day. And then you'd be sitting there like, well, screw this. Who's got 80 hours to do all this stuff, all this work every single day? So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed right now. The hospital is currently closed to new patients. But when the hospital does open for new patients, shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify for utilizing our S cubed methodology.